Hello, and welcome back to the final movie in Trilogy Month. That, of course, being Spider Man 3. So, in case this is the very first video that you are stumbling across on my channel, hello! This past month I've been doing a little series that I like to call Trilogy Month, where for Monday, Wednesday, Friday, throughout the month of November, I've been reviewing a trilogy. So, I started off with. Oh, actually, yeah, I've forgotten what trilogies I've actually covered. So thankfully, my little notebook here is beside me. Yes, I've done Back to the Future. I've done the sequel Star Wars movies. I've done the Spy Kids movies. And I've done the first two of the Sam Raimi Spider-Man movies. And now we're on to the divisive Spider-Man 3. A movie that I have only ever watched once until this rewatch. And that was not long after it came out, and I think it was available on one of the Sky Movie channels back before they done the buy to rent and all that shit. Where you could you can still get the movie channels. Anyway, yeah, I didn't like it when I first saw it. It wasn't bad, but at that point I would have been what? See, we'll say 2007. I would have been like 10 or something like that. No, it would have been 9. Uh, yeah, it would have been around 9 or 10 at that point, and I didn't really care for it. However, on this rewatch, I have gotten a new appreciation for it because we know by now that the reason there was three villains being Venom, Hobgoblin, and Sandman is due to studio interference with Sam Raimi, which is why he stepped away and we never got a Spider-Man 4, and why it wasn't until we got his return for Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness. And this film, a lot of people don't like because it's, cringy at certain parts of it and all of that stuff. And I didn't care for that. Yes, it was cringy. Did it take away from my enjoyment? Absolutely not. But obviously, in terms of having the Hobgoblin being one of the quote unquote main villains, he's not really that much. He's not even like an antagonist. He's just there because the ending, because the second movie demanded that. It demanded that resolution with Harry, where he finds out that Peter is Spider-Man, and so he discovers the back room in his father's mansion. He discovers the botched super soldier serum or whatever gas it was to make him that made his father the Green Goblin to make him the Hobgoblin. And so yeah, the relationship between between Peter and MJ is a bit rocky. He cares more about it. It's shown that he's not really listening to MJ's problems and only really talking about his problems, which is why, in the movie when he kisses Gwen Stacy, he doesn't see that as an issue for when he's trying to propose to her. But yeah, like the Hobgoblin, he's there for like a few minutes and then he comes back. They have a fight as well outside of Suits, and then he comes to help Peter at the end of the movie, realizing that it's his best friend. He should go actually help him. And I didn't really mind that. I the death, his death though. I'm not sure if it was warranted. Having rewatches because say what you will about James Franco, I like his interpretation of Harry Osborn. The same reason why I love these movies and I love this trilogy specifically, and that's why I'm glad that I decided to sit down and rewatch them. But yeah, I'm not sure if that death was warranted. It does redeem Harry in a way, from forcing the breakup between Peter and MJ, which we do know from No Way Home that they aren't together in that universe where he doesn't have the time for Peter stuff. So we don't know what happened to MJ. She could have, remarried somebody different, and Peter's, still single at that point. By the point of No Way Home. Um, but yeah, for the Sandman, again, he's not really much of a villain, like because he's just there. Granted, it narratively makes sense why Sandman is there because he's the real person who killed Uncle Ben, and when Peter finds that out, that's when the symbiote takes over, the Venom symbiote, and of course he goes to track him down to beat the ever living fuck out of him for killing his Uncle Ben. And it's not until we till the end of the movie, where Peter forgives him, that we learn that it was an accident, that he didn't mean to pull the trigger. He was just in a rush, and he was only trying to get money for his child's medical bills. And that, of course, leads into what we see for No Way Home. But yeah, like Flint Marko was okay. He was a villain, but he also wasn't a villain. They obviously changed him for this movie. And then we get to the Venom symbiote, and obviously this black suit for Tobey's Spider Man looks amazing. I love it. It's perfect. Feels straight out of the comics because granted, I haven't read the comics, so I think if from what I've learned is the black suit Spider-Man shows up during Secret Wars, as not until after Secret Wars that we learn that it's the Venom symbiote I think it was Todd McFarlane that created it. Someone do correct me if I'm wrong. I'm just trying to remember information that I have been told very, very poorly. And to be honest, when Peter and Venom split and Venom takes over Eddie Brock, who I'll get to now in a minute, the design looks good. It still holds up, nearly 20 years later. And in my opinion, even though I haven't really watched the Venom movies with Tom Hardy, the look of this Venom is far superior than that Venom, the look of that Venom from the three movies, in my honest opinion. I prefer this one over that one. Eddie Brock, oh boy, Topher Grace. I like Topher Grace. He's a good actor, but it's because of really this movie and him wanting to branch out to be a movie actor, not a TV show actor. That's what led to the decline of that '70s show. To have such a terrible season. Which I'm glad he did return for the opening episode of that '90s show before it got cancelled after 2 seasons. That's something Netflix just that's either here nor there. The cringe stance scene, with emo Parker. I don't mind that all that much. It doesn't bother me. It's goofy now that I can laugh at it. That it's so bad it's good type of way. That's how I would. That's how I feel. All these years later, and I know a lot of people have changed their tone on these movies because it's starting to be looked more in a favorable light, and that's what I love about some bad movies that over the years people will change their tune. I've done that. I've done that. I thought Men in Black 3 was a terrible movie, but when I done it, rewatched it for the first trilogy month that I did last year, I had a brand new appreciation for it. And that's what I'm seeing with a lot of different films. Again, the Star Wars prequel trilogy, that was seen as hot garbage by a lot of original Star Wars fans. But now they're singing new tunes about it, obviously. And soon they'll probably be doing the same with the sequel trilogy. I know I enjoy the sequel trilogy, which I did review 2 weeks ago. If you want to go check out those reviews. So I'm glad that I rewatched these movies because they are some of the best superhero movies out there. With the first three, and I still stand by. I say that 1, 2, and 3 are the correct order of the best to worst. I still prefer the first one. Now the second one is as amazing as people will say it is, but for me, there's just that nostalgia behind there. There's just I prefer Willem Dafoe's Green Goblin over Alfred Marina Doc Ock. But one of the gripes that I keep forgetting to mention, I forgot to mention in my review for number two, and for at the beginning of this review, one thing I wish they actually would have done, um, is instead of we see Spider-Man stopping all these criminals and that, have him fight one of the main, one of the main guys that we know that he fights. Just have that as like a brief cameo type of situation. I think I would have enjoyed that bit more. Just throw in some random obscure villain that he's fought, like say Craven the Hunter, or stuff like that. Because I know as well, I read through the IMDb trivia section, so do take this with a grain of salt. It might not be accurate, but initially in the comics, it was the leader of Fantastic Four, whose name is escaping me at the moment, um, who discovered the symbiote, that it was a symbiote and that. But in this movie, because the Fantastic Four were owned by Fox and not by Sony, that is why it was Dr. Connors who was the one who talked about the whole symbiote aspect of things. Um, but yeah, that is going to wrap up this trilogy month. Let me know what you thought of this movie and this trilogy in the comments down below. And I'll be back with you next Monday as we are in the final month of the year. And so we're going to just have a few more movie reviews. That starting on the Monday the 2nd will be my review of The Polar Express, a movie that I have not seen again in 20 years. So I'll get to that. Anyway, thank you all for watching. I hope you enjoyed, and I shall catch you all on the very next upload. I'll see you all next time.